Sometimes it's not always about having an agenda for the live stream or what we're going to talk about. Sometimes I just like to talk about the Pistons and just how far this team has come. It's kind of crazy. 14 wins last season, and all of a sudden, we're at 45 wins, bro. 45 wins. Number 6 seed in the playoffs. Could have got the 5th seed. Shoot, if Jaden Ivey was healthy, probably would have been up closer to the 3rd seed if we're honest. Um, but it's been a road to get here. And looking at this roster and just how much they continue to grow and just how much room they still have to grow. And it's something that I continue to kind of beat the drum about. It's just how young this team is. Sometimes people want to fast track and get straight to a championship so they can have a parade, and they don't recognize that the journey is just as valuable. It's just significant in what makes people really value the win. Like as somebody who has grown up in the Bay Area with the Golden State Warriors, that first championship, that parade was unlike any other. It was a parade that this area, this region of Northern California had waited for 15 years. No, it was over 15 years since we had made the playoffs. But it had been over, what, 30 years since they won a championship, something like that? Crazy, 20 some years. It was like Jerry West, something like that. Well, I don't know, way back when. It's crazy. It's crazy. And when you think about these Pistons and just where they're at right now, um, it's a journey that I think we can all embrace and enjoy. Like, it's not one that we need to rush and speed up. Um, this team is super talented, man. Super talented. Cade Cunningham is already All NBA. And I say already because years to be second team All NBA is pretty incredible. And that's considering that he was out his sophomore year. He was injured for the year. Um, so really in 3 years, he's second team All NBA. And he probably been there even faster if not for the injury and if not for the whole Monty Williams fiasco. But then when we look at the number 2 guy, who I keep telling y'all is Jaden Ivey. I don't know if there's another out there that's going to give us what Jaden Ivey can give us, who's available. Who's available, right? I would love to have Evan Mobley, but he's not available. Um, but you already have Jaden Ivey. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't understand why folks are so quick to look past him. And maybe it's like a recency bias thing. People just forget, as if Jaden Ivey didn't hit 2 game winners already this season in half a season. And he wasn't even, I wouldn't even say Ivey was peaking, right? Like he was having his best game of this season against the Orlando Magic before he got injured. And so when you think about this squad, it's like they have so much potential. You see, I try to read the comments as well. Yeah, they're gonna be even deeper next year. They're gonna be even deeper next year. When we think of the age of this team, Cade Cunningham's 23, Ivy 22, Asar 22, Jalen Duran 21, Ron Holland 2021. You just got a bunch of young dudes played with each other. You can like genuinely tell like they really enjoy hooping with each other. And that, man, that means so much when you have that type of chemistry because nobody's really like hating on each other. No one necessarily pull each other down. Like I do think Jaden Ivey before his injury was like, especially last year, you can kind of see he was like, "Are you sure he's better than me? Are you sure?" This year, JB Bickerstaff and the coaching staff was like, "Look, whether you think you're the best player on the team or not, this is the pecking order. This is what it's going to be." And I think Jaden Ivey fell in line. Um, I hope that we have a guy who's only a year younger than Cade Cunningham, who is probably just as talented as Cade Cunningham. Maybe not as skilled and refined and has all the other intangibles, um, just as talented. All we need is our 4 of the future. I'm gonna be honest. I agree with you that the 4 position is our greatest probably opportunity for growth in terms of upgrading our talent level. But I don't know, man. I challenge you guys to go back and look at Bobby Klintman in Summer League. Bobby Klintman in Summer League, to me, was a revelation. He was somebody who took on the vibe of going to be a long-standing player, a rotation player for us. Like, he's got all the skill and talent you could want a forward to have. He reminds me a lot of Tristan da Silva in terms of his ability to get out in transition, get to the rim, his ability to shoot the three ball. Um, Bobby Klintman just has a lot of what you're looking for, and the fact that they were able to find him in the second round really speaks to the front office and the job that they continue to do to mine talent in the draft. To be able to get Marcus Sasser at the very end of his draft or the first round of his draft was just an incredible. Obviously, our clutch bucket getter facts. He had game winners his rookie season as well. Yes, he did. Great points. It's something that I think about when I talk about these Pistons. It's like, yo, keep in mind where they're, like, even though that they're winning a lot, yeah, we definitely need to upgrade Fontecchio for the future Thompson. Yeah, even though we are the number 6 seed, barely outside of the number 5 seed, not too far away from the 4 seed, probably an Ivy injury away from being number 3 seed. This team is mad young. And so their potential and what they're going to continue to do is just kind of like boundless at this point because they still have so much room for growth. Yeah, they could try to use this offseason to go and find a power forward, but why? Like honestly, why? Like, are you telling me that what's his name, Tobias Harris hasn't been more than solid for us? Right? Like, are you going to find another veteran presence who knows how to pick his spots, defer, and play off of a superstar, and fit Pistons culture, who can be an extension of the coach on the floor and also a big brother in the locker room, which these young guys need? Right? Are you going to tell me we're going to find another guy who can create his own shot and stretch the floor from and only cost us 20-something million a year? Like these are all things that we got to consider. Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. is an extremely talented player. Let me not get that confused at all. He's a terrible defender. Yeah, and they got shooter as well, and I'm going to get into him. But Michael Porter Jr. is a terrible defender. For many times, for most part, he's a disinterested defender. And if we're honest, for the Denver Nuggets, if they have to trade away one player on that roster in order to make space for other guys, the next guy to go is Michael Porter Jr. Some people in the national media think the Pistons beat them. Like, depends on JB and the road. Yeah. There's a lot of discussion on if Pistons can beat the Knicks. I think it's kind of media drumming up the playoffs. I think that when you sit back, you recognize that the Knicks have considerable advantages in certain areas. And the fact that both teams are going to get a whole week off before the playoffs start mean that they're going to have a little pep in their step. They certainly have a lot of motivation. I'm speaking to the Knicks. The Knicks have a lot of motivation to beat the Pistons just because the national media is saying that they're potentially going to get upset, right? Like you're poking the bear. They need Drummond to be the third center. Given how the Rockets season's going with him, it might be possible. Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest, and I've been saying this. Jabari Smith Jr. may be the best option. By him on defense. No, I don't think that we can get by defensively with Michael Porter Jr. at the 4. I don't, and I'll go into that in a minute. But as I say, I think that the national media stoking the fire for the New York Knicks to really have a great series because they want them to win. They're trying to motivate. You have to understand this how the media works. They want the Knicks to win. They want the Knicks to have a deep run in the playoffs because of and they want to see them against the Celtics. They want to see them make a run potentially to the NBA Finals. That would be storybook for the NBA just as a conglomerate, as a machine. And so that this conversation that ESPN is pushing motivates the Knicks, and I think it will. But it's to say that the Pistons, I think, are going to have a good showing. I think they're going to show us a lot of stuff that we've seen all season, and they're going to really put a stamp on this series to where we're going to walk away and be like, yeah, Pistons are coming. The Pistons are here, and they're also coming. Like in a couple years, they're going to be right there at championship contention, if I'm honest. Now, the reason why I don't like Michael Porter Jr. for this team, I mean, he's talented. Look, don't get me wrong, he's talented. If you can get him for Tobias Harris and Simone Fontecchio, I understand, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm not the biggest fan. I was a little bit in the past. I don't think that Michael Porter Jr. is going to become a plus defender. I don't think he's going to become an interested defender. I think he's going to be Simone Fontecchio levels. Like, really get that. He's going to be a much improved shooter than Simone Fontecchio. And he can rebound pretty well. He can get you 8 to 10 boards in the game. And he's going to shoot lights out. He's a far superior shooter. He probably comes in and is immediately the best shooter on the team. And yet his defense is Simone Fontecchio. That's how bad it is. And when you put him next to Jalen Duren, that's a bad mix. That's a bad mix defensively in terms of our interior. What I would give up for Jabari Smith Jr., I would give up draft picks. I mean, you're still going to have to re-sign him. What I would actually love for the Pistons to try to do, yeah, great point, Ray. And y'all smash the like button for me. I appreciate the comments. But if I'm honest, I would give up draft picks. I'd go to Houston. I'd be like, hey, I will if you do a sign and trade, and I'm very clear on this. Yeah, he's up for a rookie extension, and he does have that dog. I would trade Tobias Harris or Simone Fontecchio, and maybe do like a sign and trade with like Tim Hardaway or even Malik Beasley. So I would like do a package. So this is what it would look like. I would have the Houston Rockets sign or extend Jabari Smith Jr. for a contract that is similar to what Tobias is making. And then what I would do is I would trade for Jabari Smith Jr. and I would trade Tobias Harris. Or what I would do, can get away with it, is include Simone Fontecchio and maybe do a sign trade with maybe like a Tim Hardaway Jr. Sign Tim Hardaway Jr. to an extension for like 10, 15 million. Combine that with Simone Fontecchio's 10 million. And then now you have about a 20-something $million, salary space. And then you bring in Jabari Smith Jr. That's how I would do it. That would be best case scenario. And then just throw in maybe a first pick or two. I would for sure throw in a first round draft pick to get Jabari Jr. He is definitely the type of future power forward that you want. And on the right deal, hell yes. Hell yes. But if I'm on the Houston Rockets, I would want to keep him. I would keep him. Tobias' vet presence would help Van Vliet and the young guys. No, it totally would in Houston. They would love a veteran like Tobias Harris. And that's underestimate how valuable he is for the Detroit Pistons. When he's out there, he is literally a balancing presence. Cade Cunningham, when he has Tobias Harris and Dennis Schroeder out there, he knows he doesn't have to. These are two guys who are very high IQ, strong feel for the game players. They know what to do, when to do it, the right shot, the right space to be in. Tobias Harris is always a positive for this team. And so he's a really valuable piece. Some other guys that I want to kind of like talk about outside of Jaden Ivey, who is to me the clear number 2 option going into next season, is actually Asar Thompson. Asar Thompson, he's such an enigma. He's such an enigma. Like these guys don't come around often. The last time before this time period, I can remember seeing a guy with that athleticism and kind of just all around play, all over the court, was probably Sean Marion. But if I'm honest with you, I really do hope the Pistons win. I definitely think the Pistons win at least one. I think the Pistons win at least one. They get at least one at home. in terms of games against the Knicks in the playoffs. But if I'm honest with you, he reminds me of a LeBron James, him and his brother, him and his brother. And I say that because very rarely do you get a mix of their skill set with that level of athleticism and that it translates to all these other parts of the game. It's very rare, very rare. Usually guys that athletic, like a Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, these guys are very hyper focused on scoring, and they might have some defensive focus like Kobe used to, but they usually are not as interested in weak side shot blocks and uh, getting offensive and tip outs and getting out in transition and also setting up your offense and facilitating for others and just as willing to set a screen for somebody as they are to be in the dunker spot and run a backdoor cut, flash off the ball. Like they apply themselves in so many areas of the game. It's just rare. And so they're constantly making a positive impact wherever they find themselves. They're usually the best athlete. They're usually the most skilled. They're usually bigger than most guys playing in the different positions that they are on the floor. And so they're constantly in a position where they are able to impose their will, their physical gifts on the game. Most guys don't do that. Most guys don't do that. Look at the last 6'7" person with a lot of skill and a lot of elite athleticism, Lee Hardaway, right? And these guys are literally a jump shot away from being in the realm of those guys. If they came in with a dead eye jump shot, they would have went like 1 and 2. They would have been like Victor Wembanyama, and they would have been like, yeah, but Amin Thompson, like literally, Amin Thompson, if he had a dead eye jump shot, would have consideration for the #1 pick, and he already kind of was. He was. It was. There were rumblings of him being a potential #1 pick, but as we all know, went to Victor Wembanyama, rightly so, and Scoot Henderson, and then it went. Who was after Scoot? I feel like it was somebody else, and then it was Amin Thompson, or maybe it was Amin Thompson at 3 and Asar at 4. Either way, these are random Pistons thoughts. He's just an enigma. And so I try to be patient with Asar Thompson. I know it's hard for people to be patient with him because they want him to be so much fast. I don't think that's fair to him, though. He's 20, 21, 22 years old. Second year in the league, coming off of blood clots. Like, if he didn't have blood clots, he probably looks like his brother Amin Thompson. More than likely. More than likely. And so it's something to say, like, be patient with him. Be patient. Let him grow his game. All what I'm looking for is just for him to continue himself and to be conscious. To be conscious. Like the mental part of the game is the biggest thing. He has a great feel for the game. Like he understands what's taking place on the court and where to be. Even though he's looked a little bit tired or the floor, it's probably the best way to put it. He's looked lethargic. He's been a pretty severe contrast between the amount of energy he used to play with and intensity that he used to play with versus what he's playing with now. And so, I said in the last video, hopefully this one is better quality. But I don't know if he's on some ADHD medication or something, but he looks out of it. Truly, we have one of the best two-way wings. Yeah, no, we have Asar Thompson is going to be one of the best two-way wings for the next 10 years between him and his brother. But I would like to see Asar Thompson get that energy level up again. Even though sometimes he was out of control with that energy, being a little forceful, especially when he's on the ball. But that energy also translated to him getting out in transition more. And it also translated to him being able to do more for us as like a weak side shot blocker, as a help defender, digging down, creating turnovers. And so I'm not quite sure what has changed. I would be interested in like a reporter asking him and saying like, hey, we've noticed your energy kind of down. How long than we thought he would be. Not than what I thought he was going to be. And I'm going to get to Ron Holland in a little bit. But I would like for a reporter to talk to Asar Thompson about like energy level and why it's been down a little bit because he definitely seems lethargic. Even though he still is making a positive impact, you look at his stat line across the board. Like when he's getting close to 30 minutes a game, man, he just puts up a great stat every time. And the fact that he's only in his second year and he's doing this on a team that's a number 6 seed, like sky's the limit. This is the worst Asar Thompson is ever going to be. Like, and that's something to really think about with these Pistons. This is the worst they're ever going to be. This is the worst they're ever going to be. They are never going to be this bad. Like Cade, this is the worst he's ever going to be. Ivy, Duran, Asar, Ron, Stu, Sasser. And people forget about him too. I wonder if the games he gets less minutes, they already know he's not feeling well. Maybe, maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what is taking place. I think there's a lot of things happening. Getting more minutes means you have to pace yourself differently, meaning that you have to be more aware of how much energy you're expending. And maybe that's what he's doing. He's trying to pace himself, maybe. Um, but I am looking forward to his continued development as he figures out his game, goes into an off season, able to look at film, really evaluate how he's making an impact and where he can develop. I feel like he looked more comfortable lately when he plays at the. I don't know about more comfortable, but I will say he's in position more when he's playing at the four. When he's at the four, he does a much better job of getting in there for rebounds, which this team desperately needs. He's able to initiate the offense and get out in transition, which I love because he has so much speed. He can accelerate the pace of the game by getting a rebound and just taking off. And we're going to need that against the Knicks in the playoffs. I think that is his position of the future is at the three, where he can go between. That instead of having to chase people around, you can let them come to him. Yes, and at the same time, I think because the Pistons haven't played a dominant wing player, well, outside of that Sacramento game, JB kind of messed it up there, and I did a video about that. He should have started Asar off on both Levine and DeRozan, had him switch between both, and just said, "Look, we're gonna slow these guys down. Asar, do your thing." But it's to say, I think he is best suited on the wing where he has opportunity to be versatile in of approach. But it also depends upon the matchups too. Also say Asar Thompson, sky is the limits. Sky's the limits. Kudos to him for coming back, working into playing shape, not having an off season after everything that he went through with the blood clots. Um, yeah, once again, smash the like button for me if you're in the chat. I definitely like to comment off of the chats you guys put. Um, but yeah, these are just random thoughts on the Pistons right now. Somebody mentioned Ron Holland. Ron Holland to me was somebody that I saw him in the G League last year, and I said everything that he's doing is going to trans NBA. Well, okay, I get that point. I do think next season you will see a lot of lineups with Cade, Ivy, Ron, Asar, and Duran or Stewart. I think that's more than possible. But if I'm honest, I don't think long term that's the lineup you want. And we'll see. If Asar Thompson puts on 15 pounds of or 10 pounds of muscle, right? And looks like Ron Artest out there, and it's just Debo and cats. I can see that, but the problem is Jalen Duran 6'10" just doesn't give you the size that you want, especially when you consider you have teams like the Cavaliers with 2 7-footers, Dallas Mavericks, a lot of height, Milwaukee, a lot of height. Um, you have a lot of teams that just have a lot of size. And if Duran is your biggest player at 6'10", and then you go 6'7", 6'7", 6'5", and that's still a lot of size on the perimeter, kind of like how the Los Angeles Lakers go. But I think I would like a little bit more height next to him, which is why I like Jabari Smith Jr. Because Jabari Smith Jr. Is just really skilled in what we need next to Duran. He's a rim protector. He's a rebounder. He's a defensive-minded player. Um, he reminds me of, honestly, like if you think of like a P.J. Brown next to Alonzo Mourning, or Robert Horry to Shaquille O'Neal, or Robert Horry next to Hakeem Olajuwon. Um, He's one of those fours that just fits really well next to a high volume offensive big. Obviously, we want a bigger guy at the four and a SAR. These comments be fading fast. I don't know why. But it's to say, yeah, no, if we can get a bigger four, but I get the point that you're making. I get the point that you're making. Ron get a lot of starter minutes. I just don't know if he is going to be a future starter. I don't know if they'll be able to retain him cost wise. I think he's going to grow substantially. And by year 3 and 4, it's going to be like Jonathan Kuminga right now with the Golden State Warriors. It's like you're trying to find minutes for him and you're trying to give him an opportunity that he may not get with this team. As sad as that sounds, and you're going to start to get a lot of overlap. He gives you a lot of what Ivy does, and he gives you a lot of what Asar does. But those guys, maybe just a little bit more skilled at it, and they're already here, if that makes sense. But it's something that they will consider. I think that's why I keep saying Trajan Langdon has to try to re-sign both Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey this offseason for under $50 million collectively. And that gives them the financial salary cap freedom to make sure that they can continue to sign, to re-sign these guys. One second, let me get my charger. I'm gonna go for a run after this. My favorite thing to do on a Saturday. Go for a run. There you go. But yeah, random thoughts. This playoff series, I was thinking about what are some of the keys to this series, and I think one of the main ones is just staying out of foul trouble. Have to stay out of foul trouble. They have to. They have to. Jalen Duren can't get into foul trouble. You can't put that type of a burden on Isaiah Stewart to hold it down with Mitchell Robinson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby. Taking what would be Ron's potential role. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are good at point of attack, and I'll get into that some more in a moment. Jaden Ivey, like I keep saying, if we had him, I would be the number 3 seed right now. We would be much better than the Knicks. We would be they would be scared of us. They would be talking about us getting to an Eastern Conference Finals if we had Jaden Ivey right now, just because of what he brings, shot making, his explosiveness, ability to take over games alongside of Cade Cunningham, 40% from 3-point line. I think he's next season he'll be shooting at least 4 to 7 threes a game. He's a good movement shooter, catch and shoot. He's dead eye. He can shoot off the bounce. He can do the rim in a blur. He was really doing a great job of getting to the free throw line for us that we really missed. Dennis Schroeder has helped us out in that regard, but Ivy does so many things at such a high level. Ron Holland is really nice as well, and it's something I saw when he was in the G League. Like I said before, everything he was doing there was going to translate well. I just think that the only challenge is he overlaps with a lot of other talent on this team, and it's better to have a team that has balance than a bunch of players who need the ball and play similarly. Jabari Smith Jr. doesn't need the ball. He doesn't need the ball. And that's a huge benefit on a team where you want Jalen more offensively aggressive. You want Asar Thompson to run point guard more. You want Cade Cunningham to stay in the flow and be off the ball more. But Jaden Ivey is going to come back, and he has such an ability to be amazing on and off the ball. I don't know necessarily if Ron Holland is going to foresee his future, and especially his earning potential, as somebody who's just fitting in. It's going to be tough. I'm also still high on Marcus Sasser. Y'all still high on Marcus Sasser? Because I feel like we've forgotten about him. And I know he's gotten bench splinters unfairly with the Dennis Schroeder acquisition. We understand why. It's just he's an extension of the coach out there, and he understands the game. He understands what to do. He's a big-time, big-moment shot-making guy. Yeah, Sasser's fire. Yeah, facts. I just think that next season they bet on Marcus Sasser. Like that's what I would do. Like I'm betting on this roster. If I'm Trajan Langdon, I'm betting on these guys. I'm looking at these guys. I think you all collectively can be a great unit. Sasser just needs a point guard next to him, preferably a big guard similar to Cade. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily what I think Sasser would be in a situation where he's a one, but the playmaker's coming from a bigger player. Okay, so run with me on this. Kind of like how Embiid and Maxey work. Yeah, run with me on this. Next season, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson. Which one of them can't run point guard full time? Which one of them would you say cannot? Might work in that regard. Yeah. But which one of those three? So you got three guys who can legitimately facilitate our offense and run it full time. You're going to have to stagger those minutes, which means that of you having Tim Hardaway Jr. in the game, you have Jaden Ivey. So now when you take out a Cade Cunningham and you bring in a Marcus Sasser, he's playing next to Jaden Ivey, you have a facilitator. Right? I feel like Ivey's closer to Sasser than he is to the other two. He's got really good size. He's got really good size, and he has. All right, I've always said this about Jaden Ivey. His feel for the game, thing that lacks the most, and his ability to process it at a high level. But it doesn't mean that he can't run point. Like Russell Westbrook got away with running point for a whole career. And I think that that's something that I definitely do, but he would run into the same issue that Westbrook does, where Westbrook just doesn't process it high enough in high leverage moments. The only difference is Jaden Ivey has a great jump shot. If Russell Westbrook was shooting 40% in his third year in the league, he would be probably one of the top 15 greatest players of all time. But that wasn't the case. All this to say is Marcus Sasser is always going to have another cerebral. I do think Cade and Asar Thompson process the game better than Ivey. I do agree with that point, and that's why Ivey would be closer to Sasser. I get that. But it's to say, if you have one of those three on the court at all times, which you can get away with Marcus Sasser next to them. But remember, Marcus Sasser's only in his second year, bro. He's only in his second year. Yo, smash the like button for me, y'all. We got 12 folks in here. Sasser does, what does it say? Give good defense, even at his size, he does. And he gives good defense and great three-point shooting. If you set him up with the right floor mates, he can certainly come to play. Facts. I can see that having one of your playmaking starters on the floor at all times by staggering them. Thank you. See where I'm going with this. You see where I'm going with this, bro. That the Detroit Pistons in the future, you can get away with Marcus Sasser in that Dennis Schroeder role because you're going to have high-level playmaker facilitators next to him at all times. You're going to have Asar. You're going to have Cade. Worst case scenario, you're going to have Jaden Ivey. And then Ron Holland is going to be, I'm trying to think. I can see a world where Ron Holland develops DeMar DeRozan level type of a ceiling in terms of his playmaking, his ability to facilitate, given the opportunity. He has a really good feel for making the right read and the right pass. People really sleep on G League players, especially young guys coming in. Joe B, honestly, I have Sasser on the floor with Asar. I just let Asar dish it out. If Marcus Sasser gets it and has some space, and he just needs to let that sucker rip. Yo, I completely agree, bro. I completely agree. Great point, Joe B. But yeah, it's just to say, I think everybody's going to get better. Like, I think that's the thing that people don't really think about, is that everyone on this roster is going to get better. We do have a decent league squad with Bobby Clintman, Tulum Smith, and I forget the other brother's name, the guard that has the locks. Also say is this team's going to get, like, this is the worst this team is ever going to be. And so when you think about Marcus Sasser coming back next year, more comfortable with facilitating, Dennis Jenkins, thank you. I always can depend on you, John. Joe B, sorry. But it's to say, these guys are going to be better. next year. And so when you look at having an addition of somebody like Bobby Clement, and think about it, been playing on the G League this whole year, and then he's going to have another off season of development with a better shooting coach. Don't be shocked if he looks a lot like Jabari Smith Jr. by this summer league. Like he might win a summer league MVP. Don't be shocked if he's first team all summer league. Don't be shocked if he's going into the preseason super confident, ready to take all of Simone Fontecchio's minutes. Also, don't be Simone Fontecchio comes back next season and his shot returns and he's a dead-eye shooter. I still think we give those minutes to Bobby Clement. But, it's to say that this team has so much potential, Stewart comes back an even more aggressive three-point shooter next year. I think that's a part of his game that the more he expands it, the more valuable he becomes, and his long-term trajectory for the Pistons is just that much more valuable or invaluable. Jalen Duren is somebody that I keep saying needs to be more aggressive, because when he is locked in and aggressive offensively, he can really impose his will on the other team's interior front court. Aren't a lot of bigs who can stay in front of him or can deal with his physicality and his strength. There's very few, very few. But he needs to stay aggressive. When he is aggressive, our offense is so much smoother. Not just smoother, but so much more effective, because they can't load up on Cade. Don't give me hope on Tech. I'm giving for Tech, the Sixers fan, Tobias Harris treatment right now. I need a scapegoat to absorb my negativity. Hey, I'm right there with you, bro. I be complaining about Fontecchio. My last video, I was like, I could sum up this guy one name, and I called him out. I said, it's Fontecchio. He is the one guy who has completely disrupted that team's flow yesterday, and was the reason why they were never able to regain. He came in 5 minutes, was a major factor in blowing a double-digit lead. He made a shot, missed the next couple of shots, had a really bad turnover, missed definitions or just got there too late. And the Milwaukee Bucks go on a run and erase a double-digit lead, and we never get it back. Like, for real, we just need a glue guy to feed in the corner. I would literally sacrifice you on defense to ensure you never dribble the ball. Yeah, hey, man, I could say that over and over about Fontecchio. Please don't dribble anymore. Please stop dribbling. Just play like Klay Thompson. Just pass, cut, be a movement shooter. But even it's like you're missing your wide open shots. So it's tough for Fontecchio. If you're a shooter who's missing shots, you're trying to find any way to get yourself going. And he just has not been able to consistently get himself going. It's really done us a disservice, because then it's like, well, then what are you out there for? You're not a defender. You're not a rebounder. You don't have really good length or really good size positionally. You're basically killing us. Yeah. Some of the things I was thinking about with this roster, and once again, shout out Bobby Clement. Let me see, Joby. Perimeter defense initiated. It irritated me yesterday. I probably would have edged it out of Stu Reed in those minutes if we had Stu instead of Paul Reed. Yeah. I think there was room for JB to experiment more with a Paul Reed, Isaiah Stewart lineup. But those are opportunities. Those are just opportunities. What's going on, Mingze? Yeah. But no, Bobby Clement is somebody who I think is going to be really good for next year. I think he is going to completely come in and look a lot like Jabari Smith Jr. He doesn't have the same length or the same defensive acumen, but he's not that far off. Now, when I think about the acquisitions, there are a few guys that I do like. I like Jabari Walker from Portland. He's an unrestricted free agent guy, 6'9", shoots threes, plays physical with a high motor, high energy. Kind of like a forward version of Isaiah Stewart, but a little bit more fluid of an athlete. But he's 6'9", defends the rim, rebounds, gets out in transition, plays physical, knock down threes, can even put the ball on the floor a little bit. But I think he would be a great addition. and kind of like that Paul Reed, type of a role. String, second, third string, big, great, to break in case of emergency type of a guy. Um, yeah, he's probably one of the few guys that I'm like, yeah, I would really love to have him. Because I mean, and how my mind works, I'm current roster, their projected progression collectively, and then being able to identify what the holes are in the roster in terms of what they're going to potentially be able to do. Uh, yeah. By the way, if you've been in this live for a minute, can you give me a thumbs up if you have not experienced any lag? I've been trying to tinker with that to see if I can fix that problem. Are you experiencing any? Let me know in the comments section. Um, and how do you like the panoramic view versus the phone view? Um, Let me know what you think in the comment section. Oh, the lag, not great. Yeah, in the past, but on this video, are you experiencing a lot of lag? Are you like the panoramic view? Are you experiencing lag in this current video? Yes or no? I'll see if I can make sense to it again. Oh, okay, you meant in this video. So there's been some lag in this video. We're getting quite a bit of lag. Okay, all right. I'm gonna try some other things and see if I can get rid of that. But I still appreciate all y'all being here in this live stream. Just some random thoughts on the Pistons. Oh, the draft. Have y'all been checking out the draft? Have y'all been looking at the draft? Still lagging. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you've been checking out the draft at all. There's a few, as much as you can. Yeah, there's a few guys that I like, but I think there's two that I'm kind of really there's maybe three. Well, I'll just give you my names. I'll give you my names. Okay, okay, you checking out the draft? That's what's up. I'll give you my names. I'll give you my names. The first name, Cam Jones, 6'5" out of Marquette. Reminds me of a Rodney Stuckey type. Are these at the early second round? Yes, early second round. Which means that you're looking at guys who are projected at the end of the first and guys who are at the beginning of the second. A lot of fluctuation can take place in that time. Guys might fall because teams at the back end of the first round might want to are going to take a flyer on. Maybe have some more upside, but they can stash, and they don't want somebody they're going to have to pay. And so somebody might drop to us. So you want to look at the end of the first, and then you want to look at the beginning of the second. Those are generally, that's the draft range you want to focus in on. The positions of need that I'm locked in on is the front court and the wing guard. But let me explain. The wing guard position, we need a glue guy. We need a cerebral, kind of do a little bit of everything guy. We don't need a sharpshooter. We don't need a guy who's going to be, I don't think we need a Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. again for next season. I don't think we'll need that. I think Cade Cunningham will be shooting close to 40% from three next season. Jaden Ivey was already shooting at 40%. I think Asar Thompson regularly knocks down 1 to 2 threes. His jump shot probably looks like looks like Ron Hollins does now. Tobias Harris will be above average three-point shooter. But most importantly, Marcus Sasser will have an expanded, be a 40% three-point shooter next year. Then you have Ron Holland will be probably a league average 35% three-point shooter. Hassan Yang, Hanson Yang, I have not checked that dude out. I checked out Hanson Yang. I actually am not knowing about him at all. But I had another name. And I'll pull this up now. Hanson Yang. I'm gonna check him out. Okay, playing for China. Okay. The big, I think Cade's three will improve. He just has a smaller workload. Yes, with Ivy and hopefully around him. Yes, completely. I think Cade Cunningham is going to be a much improved three-point shooter. I think Ron Holland will be an improved three-point shooter. I think Bobby Clinton is going to be an improvement shooting the three. I think Simone Fontecchio is going to be an improved shooter from three. I think Isaiah Stewart is going to be an improved shooter from three. They're going to have shooting next year. I don't think it will be as big of a deficit. And so, what I really want to see from this team, focus on culture fit guys. And when I say culture fit guys, I mean guys who are going to be physical, tough, play both ends, defense, offense, and are also guys relied upon to play make for themselves and others, not just catch and shoot. That's a skill that less and less is being valued in the NBA today. We all know in the Stephen Curry generation era, D guys became all the rave. That's not necessarily a really important thing anymore. Yeah, I'm getting kind of tired of the one-way players, not gonna lie. Yeah, no, facts. But here's the thing. Because of the improved in this team and the addition of Jaden Ivey coming back and Bobby Klintman and Ron Holland's progression, we will need someone who can actually break down the defense, make a pass to set up another shooter. That's why I like some of these guys. Cam Jones is the first one from Marquette. He's a do-it-all 6'5" wing, 6'4", 6'5". He's physical. He's a high-level defender. Plays both ends. He's a leader. He's a leader for his team. All-American guy who stayed another year to come back and work on his game, and he has. So he's not just a scorer, but now he can facilitate. He's a high level. He kind of reminds me of like a more point guard version. Actually, kind of Alec Burks-ish on offense, but much better defensively, like a Quentin Grimes or a Dante DiVincenzo. He'll be the perfect fit off the bench in the backcourt. And then you have Adu Thero. He's supposed to go in the first round. 6'8" wing out of Arkansas. Reminds us a lot of Olivier Maxine Spencer, I think his name is, for the Dallas Mavericks. But he also reminds a lot of people of my brother for the Houston Rockets. Comes in off the bench. What's his name? 6'7", really good on defense, kind of right-hand dominant. If I can grab his name real quick. Play for the Rockets. I don't think he even played last night. Tari Eason. He reminds people a lot of Tari Eason in terms of athleticism, can get to the rim, finish above the rim, but big question marks around his three. But he's the type of guy who I wouldn't mind next to Ron Holland. I want to see Ron Holland play more at the shooting guard next year. Really just both positions. He should be the first wing off the bench. I think he's going to be the first player off the bench, if I'm honest, next season. And I would like him to be one of the first people off the bench in the playoffs too, but that's neither here nor there. We know it's going to be Malik Beasley, and then it's going to be Dennis Schroeder and such. But it's to say, I think Ron Holland plays much more shooting guard next year. So somebody like Adu Thero, I think, is a great option because of his ability to play the 3 and the 4 position. Physical, great athlete, can help to maintain that tempo that we like to play at. And then he's a switchable defender. And we won't be relying upon him heavily, so he can still develop his shooting along the way. Who plays very similar to him is Dink Pate. Somebody's in the G League, once again, who's being looked at too much. I think scouts are overthinking it with him. 6'8", long athlete. Plays a lot like Adu Thero. Plays a lot like Ron Holland. Doesn't have as much shooting touch, but he's a really effective player in the open court. Has some facilitating type of skill. Kind of reminds people of Bilal Coulibaly. But I just think in the G League, a lot of these ESPN analysts overthink these guys, just like they overthought Ron Holland and Modest Buzelis. They just overthought it, and they don't realize like the competition in the G League is way harder than it is in the NCAA. It's 10 times harder, bro. Like the G League is an NCAA all-star every single time, except they're playing hella hard, competing for an NBA contract. You know, mad competition there. Um, Now here's where we get to some interesting guys that I've been looking at. Alex Carabam, UConn, 6'8", 235 pounds, plays a lot like Tristan da Silva. I keep throwing that name out there because that's a prototype of what this team needs. A glue guy, really heady, smart, who can do a lot for us, who can contribute in a lot of different ways. I think Carabam can be a guy who catch and shoot, moves well without the ball, is placed at the right time, meaning he's going to take charges. He's going to box out in critical moments. He's going to give you great minutes. Like, think about Tyler, what's his name for the Cavs? Tyler, look at it real quick. He's not, Tyler, what's his name on the Cleveland Cavaliers? Somebody. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed some of these comments here. Oh, Kurt is an Arkansas fan. That's who Tankathon has going to us right now. Adu Thero is that, yeah. Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome. Yes. I think Carabam is a Ty type of guy. That's who I think he is. I don't know if he has the same confidence to play like that, but he has that level of know-how when it comes to playing the game. Always be in the right place. Broad kill for Ty Jerome. He doesn't play the same position. He plays more like, imagine a 6'8" version of George Niang. 6'8" version of George Niang. Because a little bit more verticality, a little bit more athleticism. Kind of something, yeah. 6'8" version of George Niang. He's going to be able to rebound, pass the ball. Dante Massey, just going to close my eyes and hope VJ Edgecombe drops this. We all do. I mean, I want to throw an offer at Ty Jerome. Oh, okay, you want to throw an offer at Ty Jerome. I don't see why. I don't think Ty Jerome would want to come to Detroit and play that reserve role. Like, why? Like, we got Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. He just had the best season of his career. He's going to try to get a starting somewhere. Look at teams like Sacramento, Miami, Orlando, Minnesota. Those teams who could use an upgrade at point. That's where he's probably going to try to steer himself. Let's see. That's what you're afraid of. I mean, so, all right, so Alex Carabam. I also like this Micah Peavy. He reminds me a lot of Alex Carabam. Kind of 3-and-D type of guy. Can make some good passes, though. Here's the enigma that I'll throw out there. Ryan Kalkbrenner. Have y'all heard of this dude? Yeah, try to keep Ty Jerome off Orlando. That's the real type of point guard that they need, is a Ty Jerome. That's who Orlando really needs. I think Anthony Black needs a different roster to be good. Anthony Black is really talented, but for him to be his best self, he needs to be someplace where he can run the show. He's that type of he's a LaMelo Ball, he's a Rico, he's the guy, he's a Josh Giddey type of a point guard where if you take him off the ball, if you have other guys that you're putting the ball in to do a lot of your facilitation, you lose a lot of what you get with him. Great decision making and all the such. All that's to say is he's not being maximized in Orlando. I think he would have already kind of blown up had he been someplace else. But Ty Jerome would be perfect in Orlando. Dead-eye shooter, great off the ball, great decision maker, can facilitate and pass, but doesn't need necessarily the ball in his hands a lot. That's who they need. That's who Orlando needs. But yeah, this other name I want to throw out there is Ryan Kalkbrenner, 7'1" center out. He's won Defensive Player of the Year for his league, uh, or for his conference. I want to say the last 2, 3 years in a row. 7'1", has about a 7'5" wingspan. Does a great job with vertical. He's going to remind us of a Walker Kessler. And when we think about the lack of size, if we're real, Jalen Duren is rarely this healthy. He's rarely this healthy. If he is someone who, if we can get somebody like a Brenner to play in that third string center type of a rotation, throw him in the G League, let him continue to develop his jump shot. He's a really solid big who knows what to do out there. Yeah, something between probably a Donovan Clingan and Walker Kessler. He just doesn't have the hype around him. If he was coming out as a rookie or sophomore or just making a run to the NCAA championship game, he would have a whole lot more fanfare. All that's to say is he's a great pickup for us. He'd be a great pickup for us. The last name I want to throw out there before I hop off is Cedric Coward, 6'6" guard out of Washington State. He's in the transfer portal right now. What do I think of Danny Wolf? I don't think much of him. Unless you're foreseeing him becoming Lauri Markkanen. I don't know what we're talking about. He has a sub 7-foot wingspan as a 7-footer. I just don't think he's that. I don't think he's close to that. I don't think he's close to a NBA rotation player. And I just don't see what he brings to this roster. He's going to be look, okay. He's skilled, but does he play defense? Not really. Physical guy? Not really. But he's tall and he's big. Okay, cool. Can he play Detroit basketball? Maybe. He could play with a lot of effort. Is he going to really fill a position of need? Not really. Not really. I think Bobby Clintman will be able to shoot the ball just as well. And I think it's gonna take him time to figure out the speed of the game, the whole different level of athlete. And I think inevitably he ends up as a bench rotation big in the NBA, where he's potentially third string big. I think so. I wouldn't use a draft pick on him, not over somebody like a Kalkbrenner, who I see getting rotation, like real rotation minutes because of his size, his defensive acumen, and he's extremely solid on the offense ball. He's got all the little, jump hook, drop step, floater. He can give you a Jakob Poeltl type of a game. I think that's worth a pick. I liked Tolum Smith a lot. I like him a lot. But we need a 7-footer. We need somebody in the reserves. If something were to happen to one of our bigs, we need somebody better. A player on the Pistons besides Cade, of course. Asar Thompson. He's from the Bay Area where I'm from. He's actually from San Leandro. I just love his talent. I love what he does out there. Really exciting player to watch. And just brings so much to the floor whenever he's playing. But yeah, those are my picks for the draft. Oh, and the Coward. Keep an eye on him. He is in the transfer portal, but he's a 6'6" guard with a 7-foot wingspan who has some real pro game. Like, he has a real pro game. Watch some of him. He looks like a pro out there. He moves like a pro. He sees the floor. He can make the passes. He's got the handle. He's got the little shimmy shake, mid-range. He can shoot it on all 3 levels. Get mine. If Trajan traded up for anyone, is there anyone in the late first you like? Yes. I forget his name. He didn't have the best NCAA tournament, but he's like a 6'8", 6'9" guy who shoots the ball well, has really good athleticism. See if I could try to pull up real quick. is. Let me see if I can find him. McNeely, is that his name? No, not McNeely. Not McNeely. This dude's a better athlete than McNeely. Let me see. Let's see. 1 second. I'm pulling up right now. His name is Rasheer Fleming. Rasheer Fleming. Rasheer Fleming. If there was one guy I would say trade up to get, I like him a lot. Love him too. Hope he's able to develop and find a consistent shot that fits him until he can increase his bag. I think on this team, he doesn't even need a bag like that. But I think if he can play that 3-4 hybrid space and allow Ron Holland to play more at the two, that would give us a lot of size and athleticism on the wings and depth at that position so that Cade and Ivy can primarily be in the guard rotation. Allows us to play Marcus Sasser more. And I think it's the depth to make sure that if one of our wings gets hurt for a little bit, rolls an ankle or something, which is bound to happen, we still have the depth of athleticism to play at the tempo and speed that we want and the defensive versatility. I think Derek Queen is this draft's DJ Burns. Not sure, I'm not too familiar with DJ Burns, but I do like Derek Queen a lot. He's going to go someplace and be annoying as fuck for a time. Yeah, no, I think Derek Queen is going to be a Bobby Portis, somewhere between a Bobby Portis and an Alperen Şengün type of big. I think he's going to be like a Şengün in terms of his ability to be a hub of offense and facilitate and score, but he's got real range. He's going to be able to shoot. He's going to have that confidence to shoot. And people are going to have to look at him for a long time and be like, damn, we passed on this dude. I think he's definitely a top 10 draft. So I don't think that we have a chance to get him at all. I like Liam McNeely as well, but I think I don't think he gives me enough like physicality that I want for this team. I want more physical guys. I want more rough and tumble. I want more like Detroit basketball guys, but who also have a good amount of skill. Yeah, I'm also not sure Derek fits us right now if we keep the bigs we have. No, no. I think he could. Like I think Derek Queen could fit anywhere. I just don't think we have a chance to get him. We're not trading up to get a top 10. I doubt that's what we're doing. Yeah, I like a bunch of these guys. I like Neek Clifford, Carter Bryant, but these guys who are projected lottery guys. I don't like Igor Denham or Nolan Traore. I don't want any thin, wiry guys who are not going to give us tough physical perimeter defense. I don't want that. Everyone that we draft at this point, presence. They need to allow us to play that physical brand that we are getting known for, because we're going to have to go up against really physical teams. The Orlando Magic, extremely physical. Miami Heat are getting bigger and more physical with Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo and Andrew Wiggins. I want to lean into the culture of what Detroit basketball is trying to be. And so that's who I want to draft. Yeah, but I like Cam Jones. I'm not a big fan of Danny Wolf. I don't think he can play the defense that we want. Some other guys that may end up being available. Let me just quickly. It's pausing on that. Yeah. Either way. This has been a live. I'm gonna keep tinkering with this upload to get rid of this lag. I gotta figure it out. What about Walter Clayton? Walter Clayton's nice. He's a shooter. I think Walter Clayton may be a little bit bigger version of Marcus Sasser, but I don't think he moves a needle for us. I don't think he's that level of facilitator. You look at his stats, really, he's never been a high rate facilitator. And so I don't know what he gives us more than what Marcus Sasser is. He plays pretty good defense from what I can see too. Yeah, he does. But I'd rather use that pick to fill a position of need and bet on this roster, which is always kind of what I'm espousing on this channel. Um, yeah, I can't see too many other people worthwhile talking about for this draft. But yeah, appreciate you guys being on this live with me. I'm gonna keep tinkering with the upload and hopefully get that figured out. You know, I don't like y'all having to deal with the lag and whatnot, and I'm gonna try to, yeah, because I like to watch my old videos and I don't like the lag. So, you know, oh geez, Tankathon has Boston taking him. I think he ends up with the Miami Heat. I think that's who they need. That would make a lot of sense to replace Drew Holiday long term, potentially. But here's the thing: there's nobody that they're drafting that's going to be able to Drew Holiday's place for a championship contending team. Nobody. Nobody. Walter Clayton is not taking his spot at all. If anything, they'll find someone else who's a veteran and ready to come in and contribute right now, and they'll be slotted in some way, shape, or form. You know, they might even go back to JB at the 2, Jason Tatum at the 4, and they'll find someone else, but and to play a similar role as Drew. But yeah, there's nobody in the draft that's gonna have real minutes for a contending team. Drew's like my dream partner for Cage. Just pay so damn much. Yeah, no, we all love Drew Holiday. But hey, y'all, I gotta get out. Y'all have a great day. I hope you're doing well, and I'm gonna try to solve these lagging issues. It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops, and I'm out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Peace.